Well, today on Car Traction, it's the third Sunday of the month. Oh wow, Rallye Quattro just come in. That's a new car we haven't seen before. And we're at the Old Piggery Cafe, and that is of course the time of the Cars and Caffeine at Combermere breakfast car meeting. It is 9:15 and there's already so much here, so even despite it being possibly the last good meeting here of the year, it's going to be a very good one. Look at the amount of cars we have here today. Got the Triumph Herald. We were going to bring the 47 Dodge pickup, but the battery on that is on its way out, so that is sulking at home. And just behind that, the TVR we've seen countless times before. A wonderful car. Grandad's MGB, of course, the one I had quite a bit of fun in driving on the L plate, and I was encouraged to bring this little yellow tin can along, the Volkswagen Fox Rallye. There's all sorts of cars coming down there, all sorts of cars parked up here, a few new ones, a few regulars, so it's a great mix really. And I think it looks like, people are already queuing up, and it's 15 minutes before the thing's even technically started, so it looks like we're in for a very strong turnout at this very nearly winter breakfast car meeting. This one definitely falls into the regular category, the Lotus Elan fixed head coupe. Fantastic little car. Also, let's just take a moment to admire the precise parking of this Healy 106. Now, I've already seen that fantastic racing Mini down there, and there's actually three similar cars. This one in the most similar colour actually. Now, these also look like slightly later cars, Mark 3s, Mark 4s, Mark 5s that have been resto modded and updated. In some cases sort of an enhanced spec, and in some cases they've almost gone back to the earlier cars spec, like this one on the cosmic alloys is a really good period modification, and this one with the LED lights and larger diameter cosmic alloys is a bit more of an update on, I think this is like a Mark 4 or a Mark 5, so this is probably a 1980s or 90s era Mini, but it's got, you know, the older style steering wheel, I think, or at least a modified steering wheel, and these quite retro mirrors, so they're all really interesting cars to look at, these Minis. This one's got some maybe more original sort of rectangular mirrors and 1971 tax disc, and this one has got some larger sort of Dunlop mini lights on it. They're really interesting to look at, and that's got an older Austin Cooper badge, like a Mark 1 style badge. I'm not sure that car is a Mark 1. It has had a Mark 1 rear light conversion if it's not, but if it was a Mark 1 it would have external door hinges there, so there's actually a lot of work that's gone into this car. The car that's just here would usually have those lights, and quite an involved job actually is to put those lights off the Mark 1 on the back of it, so that's a sort of example of a car that's been taken back to the earlier spec. TVR Griffith, this one gets around quite a lot to various meets. Lotus Esprit Turbo SE, this car is always immaculate. These wheels must be pretty hard to keep clean, so many sort of nooks and crannies in those Lotus. Lovely alloy rims, and the fantastic Droop Snoop Forenza coupe on the end here, a car we've seen numerous times before, always looks fantastic. And for a complete contrast we have the Ferrari 458 also there, and this is a car I have not seen before. I think it's the first outing here, the 1966 I think this one was, or is it 67, I can't quite remember. Ford Mustang, quite rare as this is a 6-cylinder powered car. The vast majority of Mustangs V8s, and a lot of these 6-cylinder cars went quite unloved for a long time because people just preferred the V8s, which it sort of makes sense in a respect. The V8 is a much more powerful and capable engine, but this is an original 6-cylinder car, and I was talking to Ian over it earlier, apparently people were encouraging him, you know, don't change the engine because so many of these have been converted that it's actually quite rare to see an original 3.3, I think, 6-cylinder powered car. This one's still on its original trims as well, so pretty much no mods. I don't think it's original colour, but really interesting to see a standard spec Mustang until we get to the motorbike side pipe exhaust tucked under there. It's brilliant to see this Series 1 or Series 1.5, I think it might be a Series 1.5 Jaguar E-Type. Really fascinating story with it. It was owned by, I believe, a French owner who created this semi-lightweight spec, flared arches, all sorts going on. And this one has recently been on a French long-distance rally, so it must be quite a reliable car, and it has the nicest pair of stopwatches once again at Combermere. I'm struggling to actually cover all the cars because off camera I'm spending so much time talking to owners and people that I know, but it's absolutely brilliant to see this car out again at the Combermere Cars and Caffeine. The owner of this also has a Series 3 V12 Jaguar E-Type and an Austin 7 Special, so all sorts of cars really, but that is brilliant in the Le Mans style semi-lightweight spec, just like a race car for the road. Fan is whirring away. I'm surprised it could even get warm enough for the fan to go, but Austin Healey Sprite here. This looks quite a sorted little car, doesn't it? On its painted wire wheels, and it's got a roll cage and a tyre mounted on the boot lid. This is quite a sorted car. Some really nice wide wire wheels on this Triumph TR3. Ford Cortina. The last time I saw a Cortina would have been last weekend at the Rally of the Tests, which was really cool, but there was all the Lotus Cortina, so this is a much more achievable family four-door saloon. The Cortina, I'm not sure, there's the GT was the two-door, this might literally just be the Ford Cortina, but yeah, the last time I saw these were all Lotus Cortinas skating around the Alton Park skid pan, but this is a lovely car, it really is. Cortina Deluxe, there you go, Deluxe 1500, the nicest 60s style interior in red. In the corner we find this fantastic Austin Healey 3000, of course, a car many of you will have seen before. I did a very cool little video on the channel homepage, still available to watch, about this exact car in front of us. And this car gets absolutely everywhere as well. Both of these cars probably the most used cars of the meet. This little Fiat 850 gets to almost every meeting we go to. Really, hats off to the owner for using this wonderful little rear engine 4-cylinder Fiat 850 at almost every meet we go to, even in, you know, the decline of the car event season. Triumph TR4A, this one is a very well used car as well, and that is some really weird kind of track toy, you might call that one. Jaguar Mark II, this has been to almost every Combermere meeting as well. It's a 3.8 manual, this one, so the most desirable spec, producing roughly 220 brake horsepower, these cars, which for the late 1950s was a lot for a relatively affordable, certainly in the used car market, saloon like this, but a bit of a super saloon of its day. They're available with 2.4 sorry, and 3.4s, but the 3.8 is really the one that everyone seems to want, and it's fair enough because that is a properly powerful race pedigree engine under there. And the trio of minis has now been joined by a very nice and original Morris Cooper S on the end. On the end here, looking great in the Cheshire countryside, is the Land Rover Defender, the Dodge Challenger. I bet this one's got something silly like 700 brake horsepower. It certainly looks pretty wild. Behind me, the wonderful V8 bubble of a Porsche 928, that looks properly sleek. The Chrysler 300, a wicked looking car, seen it so many times before, it doesn't get old. The condition of that car is unbelievable, and the same can absolutely be said for this, I think, is it a Mark 6 Bentley, certainly a very late 40s or very early 50s era Bentley, one of the first crew production era Bentleys. This car came in quite early, actually. It was one of the earlier cars here. This car could be running now and you wouldn't notice. I don't think it is, but it could be left idling for the whole meet and no one would notice that it's running. It is that beautifully silenced. It is genuinely a lovely car. Donut does loads of mileage, isn't it? Gets absolutely everywhere in it. Lovely interior. The engine is stunning as well. Just the lovely ambient dash, Smith dials, just absolutely everything is pristine on that car. And this car was restored, I believe, in the 1990s, so very much qualifying as an older restoration, but it looks absolutely brand new and fresh resto still today. Here's the fantastic little Mini. I believe this will be the last time we see this one this year, before a lot of the cars I think will be tucked away for winter. Salt probably not too far away here in the UK, you know what I mean if you live in the UK, and yeah, all these cars will go into hibernation, but that is just the most purposeful looking little Mini of the lot, I think. Here's the mighty Fox Rallye, Of course, the rally stickers cut up from a Peugeot 106 Rallye. I sliced off the 106 and now it is a Volkswagen Fox Rallye, and the Peugeot 106 Rallye had white steel wheels. These steel wheels are off a Mark IV Golf, so they're slightly wider than the standard wheels and they sit out further due to the disc shape than the old alloys on this one, so I'm really happy with the look of it, to be honest. And that one will not be going into winter hibernation. Wonderful Grandad's MGB GT. He said he was cruising along at 70 on the way here, which is not bad at all for a non-overdrive car. And here is that magnificent TVR 3000M. This car went past our place actually on the way over and sounded absolutely awesome. So V6, I believe an Essex V6, actually 3 litres, so yeah, the Ford V6 engine. Just sounds wicked. Here we are in the Triumph Herald. As I said, the pickup wasn't playing ball this morning, so we dug this one out, which is actually the reliable car out of the lot. And this is the first time we've seen this Lotus. It's an S2 Elise, and this is a really cool little car. It's a limited edition 135R. The owner of this one has just bought it. He used to work at Lotus, maybe in this era, I don't know, maybe when they were producing this exact car, so that would explain that. The Sport 135R. This is my favourite shape of Elise out of the lot. Maybe apart from the Series 1, I don't know. They're just a wicked shape. Just look at that side profile. It's just absolutely brilliant. These cars, absolutely love them. And this is cool. I don't know if the XR8 is a real model of car, if it was a foreign market car, or if it's just an enthusiast resto mod style, but I don't even know what engine it is, but it's got a very woofly sounding, I think woofly is the car guy word to describe the exhaust note of this V8. Whatever V8 it is in this sounds absolutely awesome. And this one is a 1932 Ford Special, I think. Now, to be honest, I don't like the majority of these cars because they have automatic gearboxes. But this one, I believe, has a manual gearbox, which absolutely transforms the driving experience. There'll be no sluggish shifts. There's proper, heel and toe, well, maybe not heel and toe, but rev matching on the way down. It just must be a wonderful drive with the Offenhauser tuned V8 engine out of something later, I think, although it does look to be a flathead, so maybe a 30s Ford engine with twin carbs on the top there, so a proper retro period correct engine, and with those exhausts just right there, completely open. Don't even need to say that really, just look at it. It must just be a wicked driving car. And I imagine probably quite leery as well. I mean, the tyres at the back are wide for their day. They're slightly wider than the front, but they're probably way narrower than this Sierra next to it. So, a lot of fun. Porsche 928, a car we've seen plenty of times before. The owner of this also has a couple of the classic Porsches and a Ferrari 456 GT in quite a similar colour to that one actually, which will be interesting to see that one out and about when I think a little bit of paintwork is done. Triumph GT6, this one looks super smart on these wheels. These are slightly wider wheels than standard 5.5J as opposed to 5J, so 5.5 inches wide as opposed to 5 inches wide. They just sit on the car so nicely. I mean, it's almost an insult to this car to compare it to my wheels, but they just sit out that little bit nicer, like my wider wheels, which are 6J, I think, on the Fox. And this is an MEV rocket currently for sale. I've never seen one of these before. We've seen things like the Ariel Atom, which is an actual production car, but this might just be a complete one-off kit car. I've never seen one before. I mean, it's sort of interesting styling, but it almost has no styling because everything is completely functional, if you know what I mean. You just got the tubular construction, no side panels, probably weighs like 600, 700 kilograms or something, just absolutely flyweight, like motorbike weight or something, but that thing must be pretty wild, especially, such a light car with the engine in the back would be really, really twitchy. The latest arrival is this magnificent Jaguar XK120 fixed head coupe, a car we've seen a few times before at the likes of the Turnhill Hall meeting. The owner of it also has a very nice Series 1 E-Type fixed head coupe. This is the loveliest XK120. Not sure what just left, but it sounded like something slightly aged. Clearly a restored car, looks to be a retrimmed interior, and just like the E-Type we saw earlier, the nicest pair of retro stopwatches. Lovely interiors in those Jags. And while this channel obviously focuses on the classic cars, this is probably the only modern Porsche that I truly like. This is a 911 ST, and this is very much like a retro 911. They're obviously all the modern ones which are designed to go as fast as possible, designed to be as comfortable as possible, but this one is really cool in that it's a retro car. So this, I believe, is the only shape, the only variant of this shape of 911 available with a manual gearbox. Now these have a 4 litre or something flat six, awesome sounding engine, really revvy engine, really quick revving engine, but paired up to a manual gearbox, that is a huge yes from me. I dread to think how big are those wheels. They're like 22-inch wheels or something stupid. Super low profile tyres. If I had the money I wouldn't buy one, I'd just buy something else, but what a car. 6-speed manual gearbox, just fantastic retro styling with the white wheels. I mean, that is a tasteful car, I think. I do approve of that. I wouldn't buy one myself, I'd just buy something else, but as modern 911s go, which I'm not a huge fan of, that would be the one. Here's the lovely Lotus Elan and a 997 generation Porsche 911, one of my preferred generations actually, as modern 911s go. They're about 20 years old now though, so maybe they're not quite modern anymore. Vantage, Aston Martin, the V8 one. Haven't even scraped the surface of down here. I've barely filmed any cars. There's too many interesting people around and interesting cars to film. Now have a look at probably the 10th Mini of the day over here. This is another example of a great sort of resto mod retro race Mini. Very similar to the grey one actually. I think the owners of them know each other quite well. That's another brilliant old car. Mercedes-AMG GTS, real sort of retro muscle car. A very cool V8 up front. And I think they look fantastic. These cars are very successful in racing as well, but even as a road car, I think such an imposing front end on those. And a very wide body on the back of this 911. That's probably a modified one. That looks a little bit non-standard. There's a Porsche Cayman as well. Porsches are always well represented. That one is a GT4 RS. So many more Porsches. Just down here, bright yellow one, Fox Yellow. This is an interesting car just beyond the Aston. Is it a 156 Alfa Romeo? Or is it like a 164 or something slightly larger? This is not a model I've seen before. It looks that late 1990s, early 2000s period Alfa Romeo. Proper big saloon actually. It's a 166, okay. A 166 Super. Not a car I've ever seen before, but this has a really wicked interior in it, really retro styled seats on it. That looks fantastic. That's a really, really rare, probably the only one in the county. Really interesting. There's another Cayman here and yet another Mini. That one is a very original, nice Cooper S Mark 2 or 3, I can't remember. A P4, nice 6 on the British saloon. Sat in one of these probably about a year ago now. Incredibly comfy car, very powerful car as well. Now this is an interesting one. This looks like a slightly tweaked BMW 325i Sport. It looks almost upgraded to like an M3 spec, but the M3 was a 4-cylinder. Yeah, it's debadged at the back. It might even be like a 318 or 320, but it's just had flared arches, wider wheels that set out, different exhausts. But whatever it is, this car looks absolutely fantastic in my opinion. What a clean build that absolutely maximises the potential of the E30 3 Series shape. Several more later cars. Some of the most sort of common cars at various breakfast car meetings are these 1990s and early 2000s sports cars, like the TVR, Tasman. There's all sorts of these cars, even like the Mini, that's a 1980s, 1990s cars. But these sort of mid-2000s Porsches and the slightly older Porsche and the TVR Tuscan, also early 2000s, late 90s. Really popular cars at the moment. It's quite interesting. This is very cool as well, a GT3 generation 997 Porsche. What a cool car that is. That's a manual gearbox, probably one of the last manual GT3s, which is the highest spec. Well, might not be an RS actually, so the second highest spec, but really cool. Probably one of the last analog Porsches, that one with a manual gearbox and a super cool scimitar. Mitsubishi Evo rolling in, proper Japanese super saloon there. Another few Japanese super saloons down here actually that are of interest, and another Alfa Romeo. That is a 156 coupe with quite cool, a BHP reg, a brake horsepower registration. That's cool. Look at that, a Z3 coupe. What a cool car that is. I absolutely love the BMW Z3 shape and the Z3 coupe, known as, oh, was it the clown shoe? That's it, the clown shoe shape. This is a Z3M coupe as well, so this is, most Z3 is probably 3,000 or 4,000, this is probably 30,000 or maybe 25 or so, just because it's an M badge on the back. It's got the E36 M3 engine producing 321 brake horsepower as standard. Probably get quite a bit more out of that engine, to be honest, but wicked car, proper sleeper, and they absolutely chew up the diffs in these because the torque and power of that straight six engine just can't handle the power. But a super cool car, and especially in black, quite stealthy, quite understated, but you just see those twin exhausts at the back and you think, yeah, that's a proper quick car. Another 997, once again super popular generation of Porsche at the moment, and another Sierra. This is an XR 4x4, so a all-wheel drive one. And the other Japanese super saloons I was talking about is this pair of Skyline GTRs. This is a R33, this is an R32 generation, both very tuned 6-cylinder, big turbocharger cars, and yet another Mini. This one looks very nice on those flared arches and maybe slightly banded wide Mini light wheels. That looks properly clean. And that's a cool car. Mercedes AMG C63 wagon, 6.3 litre V8 family estate. Really, really cool car, and there's even more down here. Look at that Maserati. And just beyond that, another Italian one, much more of a classic Italian 1970s, the 105 series Alfa Romeo. Very unusual colour. I think it's the original colour for that one, but I've never seen another one of those that isn't red, to be honest. Got the Griffith and the TT. I know a couple of people who've got these Audi TTs, and they actually do seem to be quite good cars. Let's see, there's such a sudden show of Audis here, actually culminating in this old Audi saloon. Look at that, how original and unmolested, you could say, is that car. Another super rare car here, and you may not realise that this looks like any other little Lotus Elise, and this is a Lotus Europa S. I think they only made like 400 or 500, and there's only like 70 left of these. I could be completely wrong with these numbers, but I know they're pretty small numbers. The production of these cars, really, really rare variant, and they're known to drive fantastically. These little cars, mid-mounted. Is it a Yamaha tune? I think it might be, but mid-mounted 4-cylinder twin cam. Another twin cam 4-cylinder, I think, in the Fiat 124 Spider over there, but this one behind the seats, behind the driver, and in the Fiat obviously up front, more conventional. Got the Megane RS, a very capable car. Not sure whether that's a boxed or Cayman, actually, that one. And this is a super cool car. I love this generation of cars. Since, was it Die Another Day or something, the Bond film where these featured? It was certainly available with as an invisible car. It was one of the Pierce Brosnan Bond films, but just a absolutely wonderful, wonderful looking car. My favourite looking Aston Martin, I think, of the modern era. Look at that Quattro rally car, proper genuine rally car as well. This one has still got that residual mud which showed it's used properly. There you go, look, it's been all over all sorts of rallies. Great to see a car that's been clearly tuned and modified to do that, doing exactly that. And it has been cleaned quite a lot, but it's a rally car. There is still going to be some residual mud on the tyres and the arches, which is always good proof to see that it is used properly. Pair of Lotus Evoras, looking at some pretty meaty V8s firing up behind me, probably the old Ford Special, and also a 911 Cabriolet here on the end in white. There's one of these on the Alton Park Rally of the tests. Very sketchy handling car, actually. It really was snapping, sliding and skating around on that skid pan. Well, this is a bit of a late arrival at just after 11. Super historic Fraser Nash. This one has an interesting story. It was owned by John Bolster, a very successful racing driver and hill climber. He used to tow his race car Bloody Mary behind this very Fraser Nash in front of us. Absolutely fantastic and super historic car there. Got the Austin Healey 106, brilliant car, great to see a proper British classic like the other Healey out and about even when it is almost winter, and the Cayman GT4 RS. Great to see this Triumph as well from Ross. Is it Ross on Y or Ross on C? Ross on C. I think it's Ross on C. I should know that really, shouldn't I? The Herald 1360, 33,000 miles since new. Absolutely brilliant original car. And the 456 V12 front engined GT Ferrari is also off. That one's an automatic. I know someone who has a manual one, which we might see sometime. There's the Ferrari 458. I think they're a great looking car, to be honest. As a Z4 goes over there. What a selection of minis we've had today. There you go. There's another one just joining them. Really brilliant to see all these cars together. But if you did enjoy today's video, do let me know in the comments below. Let me know what your favourite car of the day was. For me, a strong contender would be that XK120 Jaguar over there, but there's just been so many great cars. So do all that. Make sure to check out the channel homepage for past videos and subscribe for future videos. And thank you very, very much for watching, and we'll end on the Fox Rallye.